Ready?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. Waiting for this the beat to drop. Oh, yeah. I dig this song. I'm gonna sing a song for you. Helena's in the house. She's gonna tap you out. All right. What's up, people? Welcome to the Dreams to Reality podcast. I'm your host, Annabelle Rodriguez, and today is episode 22 with a very special guest. We have a 15-year-old Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu prodigy. She's fighting at a Cobrinha BJJ out of Las Vegas, Nevada. She has a ridiculous record for a 15-year-old. When I asked her how many fights she's been in, I didn't believe it at first. But she, believe it or not, has 151 fights. 148 of those are wins, and 130 of those are by submission. So watch out for this 15-year-old kid because she'll choke you out, tap you out, beat you. She's actually ranked number 5 in the world for 145-pound women's division. She's got a plethora of belts. She's got 5 fight to win championship belts, 4 NAGA expert belts. She's a combat sports coverage recipient, SJJIF medal recipient, 6-time Pan Kids champion. She's also a sponsored athlete for Vulcan Fight Co. for their gis. She's a sponsored athlete for Kilogrips for the finger tapes, and also a sponsored athlete for Penguin Fingers for their gel packs. And there's a lot more sponsorships and wins to come because I'm telling you guys, this young lady has a bright future ahead of her. So please help me welcome the amazing Helena Crevar. Welcome, Helena.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. How's your day been today?
It's pretty good.
Yeah? You're just coming out of a class you were teaching, right?
Yes, I just taught a kids and women's seminar.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw on your Instagram that you teach a bunch of different courses. You have online courses on jiu-jitsu and a bunch of different stuff, and you do courses pretty much all the time, right?
Yeah, I started doing seminars in March this year, and I started doing instructionals at BJJ Fanatics last year in June.
Oh, wow. So it's pretty recent that you started doing this.
Yes.
Before that, you were too busy beating people up?
I was just starting, I guess.
Nice. Do you think it's taken away from your fighting, or you think it's helping you as far as your training? You use that as a source to kind of train?
Yeah, I think it's helping me because I kind of like teaching too. It's also really fun, and I like competing and teaching at the same time.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know I talked to you, before you came on the podcast, and I asked you, what are your goals? What are you looking to do? And the first thing you said is, I want to have my own academy and I want to teach. So I can tell that teaching is a big passion of yours, on top of being a very talented and skilled athlete. That's great that you are able to give back and provide wisdom and knowledge to young kids. I was looking at your Instagram stories, and all these little kids are super excited to go see you. They look up to you. They want to be like you, which is why I decided to reach out and, have you come on the show, to share your story and to hopefully inspire people, not only in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world, but in general. Our podcast interviews people from all walks of life, all different careers, different athletes. We've had, bodybuilders, MMA champs, we have comedians, we have entrepreneurs, we have a little bit of everything. And what you start to realize is that the thought process and mentality behind most of these people is very similar. They have completely different paths, completely different journeys, but the amount of work and, dedication that you have to do to get to the elite level is usually the same. So I wanted to tap into you because you're so young, and just talking to you on Instagram, I was like, am I talking to her mom? Am I talking to her dad? Because you're very developed, for such a young, well, you're a teenager now. You can't call you a child prodigy no more. You're a teenage prodigy. But let's get into your story. How old were you when you started to get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? What was it that, led you to want to do this?
Yeah, so I was 8 years old when I started. I've done a lot of sports before. I've been doing sports since I was 3.5.
Oh, wow.
And I've done a lot of sports before.
What did you do?
Kaju Kambo.
Okay.
I did that one for 5 years.
Yeah.
I did ballroom dance.
Oh, wow. That's a sport.
Activity. And I did like tried swimming, gymnastics, and like pretty much everything, and I didn't really like it.
Yeah.
But then I kind of like when at the Kaji Kembo class, they'd sometimes like bring in guys that do jiu-jitsu or wrestling.
Yeah.
And I always loved doing that. It was always fun to me.
Mm-hmm.
But we really didn't know what jiu-jitsu was at that time. So when I was 8, I said I wanted to do like strength and conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
So the gym that I went to try that, the owner said that I should try the jiu-jitsu class.
Oh, okay.
And then when I tried the jiu-jitsu class, I just continued that, and I didn't go back to strength and conditioning.
Oh, okay. So you went into the gym to do strength and conditioning. They're like, let's put you in this class, and you just fell in love with it.
Yes.
And you were 8 years old at this point. Wow. Cool. So what was it about it that made you want to not go to strength and conditioning? Was it the competitive side? Was it, making people submit, tapping them out? What do you think is the most fun part about jiu-jitsu?
It's just really fun to like learn new techniques.
Yeah.
And like you're like never plateau. You always learn new things.
Yeah.
So I think it's really fun, like that kind of style of fighting.
Yeah. Yeah. The way I look at it, you have to be, you do have to have an athletic ability, to do jiu-jitsu. You have to be flexible. You have to be strong. But you also have to be a bit intelligent, because you have to pretty much strategize on what to do next. If you get in a certain position, what am I going to do to get out of this position? What am I going to do to try to, take a better position here and do that? So you do have to think a lot, and that's crazy that you said, the ability to constantly evolve and grow even within that sport is what made you want to do it. And I tell people, the second that you stop growing and stop evolving and stop learning new things and you get stagnant, that's when you get like depressed and you really don't want to do much, because you stop your growth, So jiu-jitsu has evolved a lot over the years. Do you know much of the history of jiu-jitsu, or you just kind of went into it and like whatever's here is here?
I'm still learning a lot about it. Like I don't really know much. I know that it originated in Japan, went to Brazil, and started with the Gracie family.
Yeah.
But I'm not very detailed in it because I'm still kind of new to the sport.
Yeah. How many years in? So you're only a couple of years in.
Yeah, 7.
How old were you when you started competing?
I was 9.
9 years old. Did you win your first match?
I did.
How did that feel?
It was pretty good. I was like pretty nervous before. I cried before and after the fight.
You cried before?
Yeah.
That's funny. Mike Tyson is also another child prodigy in the boxing world. He was like 15 years old, knocking out men that were like 30 years old, 40 years old. And he did the exact same thing. The first time he ever competed, he cried and he wanted to run away. And then he went in the ring and beat the hell out of the guy in a couple of seconds. So it's a similar story to you, Yeah. Would you still cry now?
Not really.
Okay. Now you're pretty confident in your skill set?
Yeah, now I'm really calm. I'm like excited to get in.
That's awesome. So did you know right away that you were, above skill level than most of the people in your age group from the beginning, or did you kind of take some time to kind of start to get better, or were you just, came out and just started beating everyone? What was it like?
So my second competition, I actually lost after. I knew I had to like improve things because, it's always improving, but like only like the last couple of years, I've noticed a bigger improvement in my jiu-jitsu.
Okay. What is it that you've noticed? What is it that has made you feel that growth?
So ever since I joined Cabrinha BJJ, my professor Hector, he got me into pulling guard, because before that, I didn't really pull guard. The gym I was at before, I didn't learn that much. Yeah. So he made me for like a straight year just play guard position, bottom position. Yeah. And to get better at that. Okay, and that's what made you get to the next level. That's it's a important part to align yourself with certain people to help you get to the next level. When you first started off the gym that you were at, I'm sure that the teachers and the coaches there help you get to a certain level.
but there's always room for growth and improvement, you know? So who are some of the mentors that you could kind of say have really helped you evolve and grow?
Yeah, so like I mean, I've learned something from each of my coaches. And like the mentors, I'd say like my parents, they help me with a lot of things, like support me to go travel and compete. And then for like the jiu-jitsu technical part, it's my professor Hector Vasquez.
Okay. Shout outs to Hector. Thanks a lot. And shout out to your parents who are here. And I know that is a huge, huge part, especially for a young child, to have the support of their family and friends and their parents to get them to where they want to be, you know, because if they're not able to, you know, see the passion that you have for something and not support it, then it's never going to develop. It's going to be delayed, you know, for you to get to where you want to be. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I had a passion for music. You know, I really wanted to play music. And I would just beg my mom, like, please get me a guitar, please get me a guitar. And she wouldn't buy me a guitar. You know, we didn't have a lot of money pretty much. And, you know, it took a couple of years for her to finally say yes. And I was like 15 years old when she finally told me, and I've been telling her for like 5 years, I want a guitar. And when she finally said, she's like, okay, I'll get you a guitar, but this is the last gift I'm gonna get you for the rest of your life. And I was like, I don't care. I don't want any other gift. I just want a guitar. So we went to the store. I bought the guitar that I wanted, and I got really, really good really fast. And I became a musician, and that's what I did for years. And I still play music, and it's a big passion of my life. But if you don't have that support from your parents to help you, you know, take certain classes and go to certain events and compete, because you're going to learn the most while you're doing it. You know, you can't grow without resistance. You need a challenge. You need someone that's either slightly better than you or on the same level to challenge you to grow. That's how you build muscle. You got to lift some weights, and you got to lift heavier weights. And, you know, same thing in your sport. You're never going to grow to the next level unless someone is there that's better. You know, and to be at the elite level, you have to tell yourself in your mind, like, I'm going to be the best at this, which means who out there is saying they're better. Let's go. Let's compete. You know, so do you have that competitive edge, or what is your mentality when you're fighting someone else? Is it this is just a sport, or is it like what do you think when you're about to fight someone?
Like when I'm about to fight, like I'm pretty serious. Like I'm like kind of different than usually. I'm like usually pretty nice, but when I'm competing, I'm like I get pretty kind of not angry, but you know, like I don't know how to say it, but
more aggressive.
Yeah, aggressive.
Yeah, I've seen you fight, and I can tell, you know, that you're serious about your skill and you want to win. You know, and I can tell that because I talk to you, you're super nice, you're super friendly, super helpful. But when you're fighting someone, it is a different vibe. It's a different energy, you know, and people don't understand, you know, you can break your arm, you can get injured, you can get hurt. And, even though it's a sport that has rules and all of that, you know, it's still dangerous, you know, so you have to kind of go in there with the mind frame of like, I'm not gonna let this person hurt me. I'm here to win.
Yeah.
You know? Have you ever been choked out?
In training, yes. I haven't been choked out in competition.
Yeah. What does it feel like? I've never been choked out.
It's pretty uncomfortable. I mean,
I bet you want to try it on me real quick on camera. Just kidding.
I mean, like, it depends on what extent you can go to. Some people tap, some don't, and they fall asleep. Yeah. And then it's like. So
when you got choked, did you tap?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you've never been like knocked out? Like,
no.
Oh, okay.
I make sure to tap on time.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking like, would I tap or would I just be very stubborn and let myself pass out? And I'll probably tap too.
Yeah, I've had a couple opponents in competition that were stubborn. And
you put them to sleep?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Is that scary?
It is kind of like I don't have a wish to hurt my opponent.
Right.
I'm like, we're competing. I want to win, but I'm never to the extent where I intentionally hurt them. Right.
So when they pass out, you can feel right away like they go limp. Like,
yeah.
Like, oh shoot, you let go. That's crazy. That's interesting. Yeah. So So shout out to your parents for supporting you along this journey. What are some of the hard parts? Because I know there might be a lot of pressure, you know, because I go on your social media, you're kind of a social media influencer. You have a really large following. You have a lot of people looking up to you. I mean, just in the last couple weeks that I've been, communicating with you, you've grown your social media by a couple thousand followers. You have like 38,000 followers now, and you're only 15. So at one point it's going to grow really, really big. And I'm sure you're going to have all kinds of companies pulling at you, trying to get sponsorships by you. You're really good at teaching and training. So I'm sure that's going to be a whole nother venture for you down the path. But you're still young and you're still competing, So I can tell you went from, you live in Vegas, you drove out here, your parents drove you out here, you're teaching a class in the morning, now you're here shooting a podcast, telling your story, then you got to go back home, you got to train, you got next week, you're coming back doing another seminar, and you're competing. Yes. So I know that you're working hard. Do you ever feel pressure, or is it something that you just love to do and it's, it's not even a work?
Yeah, well, a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, I started training twice a day. 5 or 6 days a week. It just depends, like, on the schedule and if I'm competing or not.
Yeah.
But like sometimes I feel tired, like, because it's a lot of trainings. It's like 3 hours a day. Dang. So sometimes I feel tired, but I'm kind of still motivated because it's really fun to me. So I enjoy it.
Nice. How do you balance, your school, your personal life, your friendships, training, teaching? How do you balance all that?
Yeah, so I do homeschooling, so that gives me time, like, to train in the morning and then train in the evening. Yeah. And then in between, I can do my schoolwork. I can, like, hang out with friends and like, if I have to teach a seminar, I could just, like, switch the school around, like, do a little extra before or do extra later after that day. That's
awesome. So you set up your life to where you can manage and, organize everything to give everything equal attention. Yeah. And that's crucial for anyone out there that's trying to be successful. I think you have to prioritize and you have to create a schedule. You have to know when you're doing certain things that you have to do, but you also have to set aside time for yourself to, deload. So that's good that you've been able to manage that with the help of your parents, to be able to do everything that you love to do and still have passion and energy for it, So when it comes to, your training, tell us what that looks like. You're training 2 times a day. Is it strength training, cardio, or you just, on the mat training? What does your day-to-day training look like?
So every day I do evening jiu-jitsu, like 5 days a week, if I can, if I'm not traveling to compete or do a seminar. Okay. But in the morning, I'm either doing jiu-jitsu or my mom, she helps me with my strength training and cardio.
Okay. So you're running or are you swimming? What kind of cardio do you do?
I usually do running.
Running?
Yes.
Okay. And then for the strength training, you're doing weights. Do you do any, like, functional training or anything like that?
Mostly free weights.
Free weights?
Yeah, I do, like, full body workouts and leg workouts mostly.
Okay. And I know in any competitive sport, you're obviously fighting in a weight class. So right now you're 145?
Yes.
Is that your competing weight or is that like your day-to-day weight?
That's like my day-to-day weight. I don't really cut a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Maybe I go down like 5 pounds sometimes. That's the most I'd go down. I never do too much.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because cutting weight is not a healthy thing, and I know a lot of adult athletes will put themselves through like torture, to cut down 20 pounds, 30. They walk around like 185 and then they compete at like 150. Like, what the hell? Like, you just cut 30 pounds, to fight. They look all sucked up and you see them like before weighing in, they're like about to pass out. I'm like, that can't be healthy for your organs and but that's just how they do it. So that's good that as a child and as a teen, you're aware of that and you're kind of almost competing at your natural weight class.
Yes.
I do think that's an advantage, to the weight that you're naturally at. You're probably the most energetic, the most strength, and you can maybe cut down 5-10 pounds and still feel good instead of feeling like you're dying and then now I got to fight someone.
Yeah. My parents always they want me to be at my strongest. They don't want me like to lose like so much weight and then like not have any energy for my fight.
Yeah. Now, do you plan on getting into MMA or do you want to stay with jiu-jitsu?
For now, I just want to stay with jiu-jitsu. I like it better that way, and I feel like...
And you don't get punched in the face or kicked in the face? That's always fun.
Yeah, I just enjoyed the jiu-jitsu style more.
Yeah, that's cool. So have you ever been in public school, or you always been a private school?
I've been doing homeschooling since kindergarten.
Okay. I was going to say, do people try to like challenge you at school and stuff, but you don't, I guess your parents are your schoolmates, you know, they're not challenging you to fight. Yeah. Cause I went to public school, and anytime somebody was like known to be like a fighter, like boxing, cause my family came from a boxing background, you know, we were always getting challenged. Like, hey, you want to fight? I'm like, yeah, let's fight. But since you don't go to public school, luckily you don't have to deal with that, you know? And I think jiu-jitsu it's a great way to teach people self-defense, because you don't really have to hurt someone. They could come at you, you know, with an aggressive trying to hurt you, and you can use that against them and then put them in a position where, you know, you're in control. And you want to get hurt or you don't, I'm in control, you know. So that's a really good thing. If I have children, I'm definitely going to put them in jiu-jitsu. I wish I had like a wrestling or jiu-jitsu background, but I don't. I just punch people, which is not good.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing about jiu-jitsu is good. It's like not very violent in ways of punching and kicking. It's like more, that's like, I guess why they call it the gentle art, because you're like, you just choke them and suddenly they're asleep.
Yeah.
And it's like
yeah, so the origins of jiu-jitsu in Japan was the samurai, when they would lose their weapons in a battle, and they had to do hand-to-hand combat. That's what they would use to fight, you know, the other people. But then when the Gracies, you know, went to Japan and they took all of that and they brought it back to Brazil, it became different, because it was a small man, you know, being able to defend himself against a big man. You know, so someone that's bigger than you and stronger than you and can like physically take advantage. Now the smaller person is going to use leverage, technique, skill to be in control and to defeat the bigger opponent, you know. And they developed a bunch of different techniques that led to where it's at now. And along the way, it has evolved even more. You know, I look at young jiu-jitsu practitioners today, and they're doing crazy stuff that didn't even exist before, all these different moves and all these different techniques. So that's just like everything. Everything evolves over time. Who would you say is like your, you know, someone that you look up to, that you aspire to be like in the Brazilian jiu-jitsu world?
Yeah, so there are like some competitors that I like watching compete when they're like at competitions. I like watching Gordon Ryan, like Rutolo Brothers, Mika Galvao, like pretty much anyone who's like a top black belt at the like over there right now. So yeah, it's pretty cool to watch them.
What belt do you have right now? Your brown belt, is it?
No, I'm a blue belt.
Blue belt. What are the levels for people that don't know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah, so for the kids belts, I went all the way like through the kids belts, and now I'm starting the adults belts.
So you like plow through those kid belts super quick?
Yeah.
What are the colors for kids?
For kids, white, and then gray, yellow, orange, and green. But each of those belts has so the first one is a white stripe in the middle.
Yeah.
Then there goes a solid color, and then there's a black stripe in the middle.
Okay.
So you have to go through like a lot of belts.
Yeah. I remember. My stepkid was in jiu-jitsu for like 2 months, and he got the little stripe when he had the white one. So I remember that one, but I don't remember all the other colors. Yeah. And then for adults, what are the classes?
Yeah. So for adults, it's white, blue, purple, brown, and black.
Okay.
But if it's like a kid going from like kids to adults, then they go straight to blue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what's the record for someone young getting a black belt? What's like that you know of?
I think it's 18.
18?
Yes.
You gonna beat that or what?
There are some certain competitions that don't allow you to fight as a black belt before you turn 19. So like if you're okay with that, you can get promoted earlier.
Yeah.
Like I'm 15 and I got my blue belt, but I'm not supposed to get my blue belt until I'm 16.
Oh, so you wouldn't be able to compete against other kids because they think you're like way more advanced.
Yes.
And like, oh, she's gonna beat the crap out of these kids. Yeah, I can see that. Like you're a black belt, and these kids are like not on your level. But would they let you compete with adults?
Yeah, some tournaments, yes.
So
Like,
let's say you're 17 and you get a black belt. Can you compete with adult black belt?
yes. Actually, right now I have competed with some adult black belts and
Oh,
adult
really?
brown belts, and I've been doing adult blue purple since I was 12.
Oh my God! So you've been fighting adults for a while now.
Yeah.
You still beat them?
Yeah, sometimes.
Don't be shy. Be like, yeah, I beat them easily. Bring the next ones on. That's awesome. Cool. So your goal is obviously to get a black belt.
Yes.
From the Cobrinha BJJ. Is that where, do you get it there? I don't really know how, because I've never really been big into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I know general information, I know general stuff. I've been more into like MMA, boxing, and a little bit of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But, how do you get your black belt? Is there like specific protocol, or is it just based off of the, what do they call them? Is it a coach or sensei, or what is it?
You can call it coach or professor.
Professor?
Yeah.
Is it just up to them being like, wow, she needs to get to this next level? Or is there like an actual thing that you have to do?
It depends on the coach or the professor. Some of them make you do a belt test.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to know certain number of techniques based on the belt you're being promoted to.
Yeah.
But some of them like just think you deserve it and they promote you.
Okay.
Like a surprise.
Yeah. Has it been difficult for you to go up these belts, or has it been just, you're just doing your thing like, oh, wow, I got another belt?
It's always been like really fun, like just as a reward.
Yeah.
Like rewarding that and getting medals and belts.
Yeah.
I feel like it's always really fun. Like I'm not really like expecting to get a belt. I'm just excited when I do.
Oh, okay. So it's not like you're bummed out or anything like that if you don't get it. You're just like, wow, I got it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what's your ultimate goal in this path that you've chosen? What do you want to do?
So I'd like to do like more seminars, more instructionals. And I want to like be a world champion, and ADCC world champion. So like gi, no gi.
Okay. What's the difference when it comes to fighting gi and no gi?
So no gi is just like
The gi is the like that karate
yes.
Outfit, right? With the little belt. And,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no gi is just you're like it's pretty much like street fighting. You're like not grabbing any clothes. You're just grabbing your wrists, hands, yeah,
Okay.
legs. While in the gi, it's like a cloth material that you put on, and then you can grab like the cuffs or
okay.
the collars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny because I used to do, I'm not as big anymore, but I used to do bodybuilding. I was like way bigger. And then I stopped lifting so crazy and eating so much. And, I took my stepson to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And the first time I went, the instructor was like, hey, do you want to try out? And I was like, I don't know anything about Jiu-Jitsu. And they're like, it's all good. It's a beginner class. We'll do it. And I was like, all right, I'll try it out. And they put me to roll against this guy who was like used to be like a collegiate wrestler. So he already had like a background in wrestling. And plus he had been training Jiu-Jitsu for some time. And then they put me on top and he was like on the bottom. And they're like, all right, go. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? They're like, well, just try to, get on top of him and try to make him tap out. I was like, how do I do that? They're like, just try it. And I was like, all right. So I just use brute strength. I just like try to like manhandle him, like do all this crazy stuff, put my elbows in his throat and stuff. And he got mad. So when it was his turn, he beat the crap out of me. And I remember he grabbed the collar from the gi because let me borrow one, and he started like choking me with it. And I didn't know, I didn't know you could do that. And I was like choking. I was like, tapping out, like, dude, I didn't know you could tap me out with that thing. And that was the last time I ever did jiu-jitsu because I have like a bad back. I couldn't walk for like 2 days. So my back was killing me, my sciatic nerve. Have you ever had any injuries?
I've had a couple, but I like pushed through them. I still continue to train and like cover them at the same time.
Mm-hmm. What were the injuries?
I've had a back injury and a couple foot injuries.
Yeah.
But they're pretty much gone now. So
okay. You can't let your competition know. Don't let them see you sweat, She has no injuries at all, guys. She's at her elite level always. Yeah, but that's definitely something that any athlete has to be aware of and has to be, careful with, is getting an injury. I was going to invite my friend Lucas Rocha, who's a world black belt champion, and he owns a couple of academies out here, Logic BJJ. Shout out to Lucas. Unfortunately, unfortunately, him and his family were a little sick, so he couldn't come today. And he's obviously very knowledgeable in jiu-jitsu, so I thought he would have some questions for you that I don't know. I don't have any idea, you know, of certain things that you guys would communicate with more. But one thing that he told me too is that he's never been injured, you know, and he's like a world-class black belt, you know, jiu-jitsu guy. And I find it interesting that a lot of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys don't get like major injuries, you know, even though you're like, you have the ability to tap, you know, and like, oh, okay, that's it. Don't break my arm, you know, don't do this, don't do that. And in other sports, it's not that way, you know, like in boxing, oh man, so many of these boxers have like CTE. If you see them talking when they were young and you hear them talking now, they're like slurring their words. They're not even there that much, you know. And head trauma is a big thing, you know, getting hit in the head, you know, like football and all these other sports. So I really commend anyone that does any type of combat sport, because you're putting yourself in a position where you can be injured. But at the same time, you are learning a very powerful skill, which is survival. You know, the purpose of life on a biological level is survival and reproduction. So being able to protect yourself, defend yourself, and have that mentality is going to go a long ways, you know. So even as you grow and you start to choose your career path, whether it's still going to be in the BJJ world and you're going to have your own academy, having that mentality is going to help you a lot, you know, and the ability to strategize and solve problems. Those are key skills that you need to be successful, you know. So if you have a problem, like, dang, all right, so I'm not good at this thing, let me get better at it. Right now, what are the things that you're working on to improve?
I'm usually working on everything, like top, bottom, like leg locks, some takedowns. Like I try to be like well-rounded, even though I still have to improve like in all those spaces.
Yeah.
So usually my professor, he runs like a curriculum where we drill one specific position for a whole week.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the position that he like makes us drill.
Yeah, repetition and drilling something over and over and over again, what that does is that it becomes wired in your brain and you use it when you need it. You know, like in boxing, same thing we would do. We would drill certain combinations over and over and over and over again. So now you don't even think about it. When I'm fighting, I know, okay, if someone throws this, I'm going to block it here, and that opens them up here, and I'm going to throw this, you know. So that's very similar in your line. When you're fighting, do you feel that you're relying on your training, or are you really in your head trying to figure things out? Because some fighters don't really think too much when they fight. They're just kind of like, you know, they train so much that it's just second nature to them. And there's other people that are very, you know, thoughtful when it comes to their fight. They call it fight IQ, you know, where they're very, they think a lot about what they're doing. So they see their opponent, they see how they fight, they see where their weaknesses are, they see where their strengths are, and then they create a strategy to beat that one person, you know. And other fighters don't. They just go into the fight, be like, whatever you bring at me, like, I'm just going to use what I have, and that's it. And sometimes it's enough, and sometimes it's not, you know. And sometimes the person that has a higher IQ, fight IQ, but not as good skill, can beat someone that has more skill, but just doesn't use that thought process. What do you consider yourself? Do you think you use a lot of your fight IQ, or you kind of rely on your training?
So I usually like don't really strategize that much. Like I go into the fight like and see what position I'm in and try to work from there. But I try to like think like, if I'm in this position, what can I do to like mess with my opponent and like tip them over, like sweep them, or pass their guard. Like I only started like doing that like a couple years ago, like started because before I wasn't really thinking that much when I was fighting. I was just like go. But now I'm like more calm and I'm like thinking what I should do next. Yeah.
The way I see it is you have extremely you're very talented, and you have a God-given gift for this sport.
Thank you.
So sometimes it's a good thing and a bad thing. You know, the good thing is that you can learn very fast. You get really, really fast. But also the bad thing is that sometimes you're just so good that you don't really think too much. Like, I'm just going to go do my thing. I follow a lot of athletes, and I listen to their stories, and I listen to, you know, how they got successful and also what some of their downfalls were. Like Mike Tyson, when he was at one point just beating everybody, he just stopped training, stopped carrying, and then he lost, you know, because of that. So being aware of that is important as well if you want to continue your growth. But I see you as a very smart person that is going to naturally evolve and naturally get to the next point when you have to, you know. So there's a point for everything. You know, so when you're beginning, you don't know a lot of, so you're just going to go off of like, whatever, like, just go, you know. But at one point you start to develop and you start to get better and you start to surround yourself with other people that'll teach you, okay, this is what we got to do. This is what we got to do. And you have to have these mentors in order to get to that point and to that level, you know, because it's very difficult to learn everything on our own, you know. But I see that you're surrounding yourself with good people and you have a great support system with your family and friends and coaches. So I'm confident you'll get to where you want to be. Yeah. So what are some of the tips that you can give to a young athlete or a young Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner starting off that wants to, you know, compete and wants to win? What are some of the tips that you would give them?
Yeah. So like, just keep going. Like, no matter like if you lose at a competition or you win, like just keep training. And like as long as you train, you're always gonna evolve in your like techniques. And one day it's going to pay off.
Yeah. Awesome. Don't quit.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of quitting?
Not really. I always enjoyed it so much.
That's awesome. Your nutrition, do you have a specific diet that you follow, or you kind of just eat whatever you want and just burn it all off? What's your nutrition like?
So my mom helps a lot with that. It's usually like chicken, turkey, rice, eggs, but once in a while, like sweets, for
your dessert.
Like, for dessert.
So it's pretty much a clean diet, high protein, moderate carb kind of diet.
Yeah.
But you don't
Fruits
follow
and vegetables.
You don't follow like a specific nutrition plan. Like,
not really.
You eat at certain times a day at certain times, certain macronutrients and proteins and fats and carbs or anything like that.
I mean, like, for like breakfast, I have like oatmeal or cereal. And then for lunch, it's usually rice with vegetables and meat. Yeah. And then dinner is usually eggs.
Okay.
So
super high protein. Yeah, you got to keep that muscle. Yeah. And you're still growing. So, you know, as you start to naturally grow, you're obviously going to be fighting at a higher weight class, and you're going to be competing with people that are, you know, bigger as well, just as strong. What's the hardest competition you've ever had, or that you felt like, man, this is tough?
I mean, the rule sets are all different. ADCC is probably like one of the toughest rule sets there are. And big divisions. I did ADCC trials and I had 64 girls in my bracket.
Wow.
And that division was 60 plus kilos. So that's like 132 pounds and over. So it was an unlimited weight class.
Oh, wow. So you could be fighting anybody above 132.
Yeah. I was like 140 at that time.
Yeah.
So I was like fighting 160 pounds.
Jesus.
Maybe 170. Yeah.
So that was tough.
Yes.
Did you win still?
I won a couple fights.
Yeah.
I won 2 fights. And then I made it to the quarterfinals. So top 8. And I fought a black belt, like a champion, Elizabeth Clay. She's like really well known in jiu-jitsu. And I lost that fight, but it was like a really great experience.
What did you learn from that?
I learned that like it was, you know, I can still improve, and that I should just keep training and like keep learning new techniques, like a little more leg locks, like better sweeping and things like that.
How did she win?
She won by a knee bar in 5 minutes. Okay. So there was like the last 30 seconds of the match.
How long are the matches for teens and children in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Is it different than the adults, or is it certain amount of rounds, different timing? What is it like?
So it depends on your belt rank. For like the smallest kids, it's only like, it depends on the tournament and the bell rank. It could be like only 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
But then when you get into the like orange green belts, it's 4-5 minutes. It just depends on the tournament.
Yeah.
And then blue is 5 usually. Purple is 6. Brown is 8, and black is 10.
And it's just one round.
Yes.
So after those 10 minutes are up, if you're a black belt, they'll go to the judges, I guess.
Yes.
If nobody tapped or anything like that.
Yes.
And is it a point system, or what is it? What is it like? What makes you win a fight? Is it a certain amount of time that you're on top or in the bottom, or positions, or what? How does a judge a fight to say, this is the winner?
So it depends on the tournament. Like IBJJFs, they have advantages. So if you almost complete something, but you really didn't like complete the position, like for instance, you pass someone's guard, and you don't hold it for 3 seconds, you just get an advantage.
Okay.
So like those are like smaller points to easier rule out the winner.
Yeah.
While at ADCC, they have like 20-minute rounds for a final match, which is 10 minutes, no points. So it's pretty much submission only.
Okay.
And then the next 10 minutes are points.
Okay, so they take advantages of that.
They don't have advantages, but there's points.
Okay.
Like you have to hold something for 3 seconds
to get a point for it.
Yes.
Okay.
While fight to win, it's submission only, so no points. You have to like submit someone.
Okay, so it's always a draw if nobody submits?
If nobody submits, it's a decision, like who had more submission attacks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's interesting. I never knew, how they judged a BJJ fight.
Yeah.
I always thought it was just like until someone gets choked out or taps,
Yeah,
But that's cool.
There's lots of different rule sets. There's even like no time limit matches where you have to submit someone.
Oh my God, just as long as it goes?
Yeah, even if it's like 2-3 hours.
I'm like, I quit. I'm tired.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's cool. So I know you teach a lot of seminars and courses, and you have your online courses. What do you teach?
So my BJJ Fanatics videos, I have 4 videos.
Yeah.
One of those is best submissions from open and closed guard. So that one includes 25 different submissions from those open and closed guard positions.
Yeah.
And then I have ways to the back. That's like how to get the back control finish from the back, like choke someone out.
Yeah.
And escape.
Okay.
And then the other 2 are at-home drills. So it's like drills with a dummy.
Okay.
A grappling dummy that you can do at home, and some solo drills that you can practice by yourself when you're like not able to go to the gym or want to do some extra drilling.
Do you think anybody can learn from these courses, or do you have to have some kind of knowledge in BJJ to be able to get value from them?
So I think anyone can learn from it. Like you do have to learn like some of the names, like fundamental guard position and like how to pass the guard.
Yeah.
But if you like follow along and also train at a gym, then it's pretty good.
That's awesome. So guys, make sure you check out her online courses. Where can we find them again?
BJJfanatics.com.
On BJJfanatics.com. Anybody that wants to learn how to choke people out, take guard, or beat up a dummy, make sure you check out those courses. And I know you're going to be doing some more courses in the future as well. What are some of the other things that you like training? teaching, because I know you went to the class today with the young kids. What did you teach them there today?
Yeah, so today I taught some passing, like variations, all like tied together. I went with I usually my seminars go with some drills first, and then I go into techniques. So the passing that I taught was some toreandos. It's like passing through the outside mostly.
Yeah.
But like different variations that you can get to from there.
Okay, that's awesome. So, I mean, at this point, your name, your image, you are a business, you're a brand. When I look at your page, I see you with your ponytails, like that's Helena, you could do like a silhouette of you and everybody knows who you are, so it's become where you're an entity, you're a business. And obviously as a business, you're making profit, you're making money, you're promoting yourself, you're marketing yourself. Do you have is it just your parents that are helping you with your marketing and your business, or do you have like a manager or anything like that?
Yeah, for now, just like my parents, it's mostly the three of us like kind of figuring it out.
Yeah.
I might get a manager in the future.
Yeah. There's some really talented, sports managers out there that can help you get obviously bigger sponsorships and, nice contracts. And I'm sure that's going to be coming your way in the future, but it looks like you guys are strategizing pretty well with what you're doing. Now, these online courses, is this belong to you or does it belong to the BJJ Fanatics?
It's me and BJJ Fanatics together.
Okay.
So it's displayed on their website, and
Yeah.
people purchase it through their website and watch it through their website.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because that's something that, here at the Dreams to Reality podcast, we're going to be doing in the future as well, because we take on so many different industries, and there's different people that have skill sets in different things. So we're going to have online courses on self-defense, where you don't have to dive deep into Brazilian Jiujitsu. You could teach anyone self-defense to protect themselves in certain situations. We're going to teach, sales courses, communication courses, relationship courses, finances, all of the different online courses in one place where you can gather as much information as you want from whatever you're interested in. And same thing is going to be partnerships with different people in different industries. But that's great that you're already kind of thinking, in the long run on how you can have a steady stream of income, because you shoot that video once. You put it on a platform or on a website or on your own website, and then you just promote that, and it's there forever to bring you income and revenue. So I'm sure you guys are planning for your future as well. Do you want to go to college or anything like that, or what are your goals?
Yeah, for now, I'm not planning to go to college. I'm like mostly, I want to focus on jiu-jitsu and just like mostly, jiu-jitsu and teaching, like doing more instructionals and making a career that way until in the future I can open my own academy.
Nice. How old do you want to be when you open your academy?
It depends, like when I feel like it, when I feel like the time is right. But first I want to focus on competing as much as I can and teaching seminars, instructionals.
Yeah, I think you'll know when the time comes, and you'll have momentum going, and I'm sure you'll get there at one point. Do you guys plan on staying in Vegas, or do you plan on opening up locations in multiple places, or what's the goal there?
We're not sure yet. We'll see like how time shows it, and we just see like go one day at a time.
That's awesome. So at this point, I really want to thank you, for coming on the podcast, sharing your story, sharing where you're going, your insight. I really think a lot of people are going to gain a lot of value from this, not only, knowing your story, but knowing your thought process behind what you're doing. And the way I see you, you're just an extremely talented, smart young lady that's going to get to that next level fairly quickly. And I'm really excited to see, where you're going. And as that happens, you're more than welcome to come back on the podcast and share your growth and what you're doing next. We'll definitely promote anything that you're doing, So where can we find you? Do you have a website, or is it just your social media?
For now I only have Instagram, Helena Jiu-Jitsu Girl.
Awesome. Guys, make sure you follow Elena, watch her career blossom and grow on her Instagram. Make sure you go check out the online courses that she has if you're looking to learn more about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or just want to learn some self-defense. And then want to give a shout out to your sponsors, Vulcan Fight Co., Killer Grips, and also Penguin Fingers for sponsoring this young athlete. And thank you again for coming on, and see you guys next time.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.